wherever you are in your day. Welcome back to Wealth Reimagined on the Family Bloodline Network. I am your host, Maya K. And I'm just so glad to be back with you. I'm actually very excited about today's episodes. Hopefully I don't geek out too much, but I'm really excited about today. And so I hope you are too. I hope this episode will be so helpful and maybe be that game changer in your budget. I'm assuming everybody's already got their budget going. We got this kicked off back in April. We are now in July. And, it's time. If you don't have your budget, it is time. It's time. It's time. Okay. So if you're new here, welcome. And you have stumbled upon a community who is ready to take control of their finances. Everything is laid out for real people. We're talking about real life situations, and we are here to tackle credit. We are here to tackle budgeting. We are tackling getting out of debt and savings, because the whole idea is to get you set up with the foundations and ready for success so that you can then go on to those next big steps: investing, saving, wealth building. And so hence the name Wealth Reimagined. I hope that I can do my part to guide you along in that process, help you get into the mindset maybe of money, or maybe what's got you stuck. Hopefully we can get unstuck together. So welcome if this is your first time. If it is your first time, you are going to come in on a great first experience episode, in my opinion. I could be geeking out a little bit. So anyway, so today we are going to jump into sinking funds. So you may have heard me talk about or mention them, or kind of give a little brief overview of them. Sinking funds have been very life-changing for me personally when it has come to my financial journey and my financial success. It really feels good to have things set up and in place. It has allowed me to save thousands of dollars. It has allowed me to not hinder my progress, because I am thinking ahead of those things that come up. Usually there are things that come up every year. And so this has been a real game changer, and it was something that I had never done until maybe give or take 3 years ago. I want to say maybe I started about 3 years ago. And let me tell you, it has been a game changer for me. And I hope that it'll be a game changer for you. And like I said earlier, it might be that missing component of your budget. So, all right. So I really want to give you a good explanation of sinking funds. Okay. And first, just talking about who may need them, like who should have sinking funds in their budget. And the answer is everyone. Everyone should have sinking funds as a part of their budgeting and their financial journey. It is, if you don't have them, it is, I said earlier, it could be, it is the missing component to your budgeting success on this journey. And so sinking funds are short-term savings for a specific expected expense. Hear what I'm saying? An expected expense, not an unexpected expense. That would be an emergency, right? So let's be clear on our words, right? So this is a short-term savings for a specific expected expense. That means you've thought ahead on it, which is required, okay? You're going to have to think ahead about things. We can't keep living in a space and being okay if we've normalized budget busters that are like elevating our blood pressure, we're gonna step out of that in 2026. Okay, so this is expected expenses. Okay, sometimes there will be crossover. An expected expense could happen sooner than expected. And then therefore it is now unexpected, right? And those, we could go back and forth on stuff like that. Those things need to be examined on a case by case basis, right? An example of that is, you are saving up for new tires. You're saving up for new tires. You've got the same tires on the car that you had when you bought the car. You have no tread. You're sliding in the rain. And therefore, you're like, you know what? I think next year I may need to go ahead and get some new tires. But before you get to next year, you run over a nail or you come outside and you have a flat tire. And so, those are when you have to examine it, right? It could be, all right, I wasn't expecting this to happen. How much do I have? And then how much of this is an actual emergency? So, we can get into all those another time. We're going to stay focused on the sinking fund. Okay. So when would you use a sinking fund? Again, you would use it when you know you have an expense coming up. It's going to cost you. You already know. You can honestly make a sinking fund for anything. And we're going to look at some examples of sinking funds, but you can really make a sinking fund for anything that you want. But there are some things that you absolutely should already have or need to incorporate into your budget so that you're not busting your budget with these honestly known expenses. It's just that you choose not to plan for them and you choose to act like they're a surprise every year when they're not. Christmas is December 25th every year. Thanksgiving is the last Thursday of every November every year. Valentine's Day is February 14th every year. And I'm using the obvious ones, right? When somebody's birthday is every year. Those are those things that we like to act like, oh my God, I did not. How am I going to pay for this? I got to get this. I got to buy this gift. I got to buy food. I mean, is it really a surprise? Is it really a surprise? I know life gets busy. I know time slips away. I know it feels like time is speeding up, but that's the power of budgeting, planning, and having these sinking funds. Okay. So I'm telling you, you gotta plan, you gotta save for this, you want to save for these expected expenses. So where would you do that? So I'm going to talk to you about 2 ways that you can do your sinking funds. So you may recall, I don't remember what episode now that I talked about this, but I shared my opinion on how spenders versus savers can be successful in their savings journeys. And so one way you can do your sinking fund is through cash stuffing. What's cash stuffing? Just what it's called. Cash stuffing is the process of you taking physical cash and depositing that into an envelope or an envelope binder system. I think I shared one. I grabbed one episode and showed you. And so that would be cash stuffing. You don't need nothing fancy to do it. You can get an envelope that you would mail a letter in. You just want to be sure you keep it in a safe place, and you are going to deposit money, physical cash money, into that envelope. Okay. I think cash stuffing is beneficial and motivating for people who are naturally savers. Um, I think that because seeing that money grow in that envelope, um, I think it's motivating to the saver. They're like, okay, I'm ready to count this out. Let me see what I got. Let me see what I got, right? Um, but that doesn't mean a saver can't do it in an account or something like that either, which takes me to how, my opinion, a spender would want to manage their sinking fund. And so if you're going to do a sinking fund, you want to do this in a high yield savings account. A high yield savings account is not the same as a regular savings account. The difference is the dividends. There's a rate that they give you, and they tell you, usually there's a chart. Usually there's a chart that breaks down tiers. It says, 0 to 1,000, we'll pay you this to put your money in our bank. 1,000 to 5,000, we'll pay you this to put your money in our bank. And it goes on tiers, depending on the size of the bank. That could go up to 10,000. It could go up to 100,000. It could go up to 1,000,000. It just depends on where you're doing your banking. But a high yield savings account usually is paying you over 1%. And I say that, and it doesn't sound like a lot, but it very much is, because most financial institutions today aren't paying you even 1%. If you go out to a bank's website and you pull up their rate sheet, their dividend sheet for savings, it might be 0.1. I've seen some that are 0.01. I mean, you're not, by the end, after a year, you maybe earn $2, like it's. So the high yield savings accounts, however, they average, I've seen them from 3 to 5%. And that makes a big difference in the compound interest on your money as you put money into that account. Now, the high yield savings account, being a tool that's paying you dividends, that does offer a benefit over the cash stuffing. Your cash stuffing isn't going to earn any dividends just being in your envelope like that. But for some people, they need that money to be separate. And then this is when you have to get back into what we often have visited about, knowing yourself. Okay. So if you have a bunch of cash, are you going to be tempted to spend it just because you found it? Or are you like, oh, okay, let me save that, or would it be better if it were out of sight, out of mind? Okay. So again, it comes down to knowing yourself, being real, being honest with yourself about your habits. You already know. You already know what you're going to do. I used to, I didn't have the discipline in the past. The first time I heard of an envelope system, it sounded like it's very logical, but I was not disciplined enough and to not dabble between envelopes. It was all money to me. It was all money to me. And I may have budgeted something for a specific category, and I would not have enough in that category. And so I'm like, well, shoot, I need some more money. And I would just pull it on out. And I just did not have the discipline. Shoot, that was probably 20 something years ago. I mean, it's not a new concept. It's no different from you hearing stories of people stuffing money in their mattress, which, is never recommended. But it's the same idea. You're just saving, but you do miss out on the interest component. So if that bothers you, you can, depending on your sinking fund, choose a number that, okay, once I get this much in this envelope, I'm going to put it in the high yield savings account. Once I get $500, I'm going to just put that in the high yield savings account so it can start to grow. Once I get to $1,000, I'm just going to put this in the high yield savings account so it can grow, right? So you do have that option. And that would be either a hybrid way to do it. And I hope I'm not going to confuse you here, because my initial thought on the hybrid is thinking about you having multiple sinking funds. And for some sinking funds, you may decide to just do cash stuffing, right? And for another sinking fund, you might say, you know what, I'm going to just set up an account for that. So, for example, I could see myself saying, for this back to school clothing budget, I'm going to put money in the envelope for that. But for this car replacement, I'm about to replace my car one day. It's getting high in miles, or I've had to do a couple of things with it and I'm about done putting money into it. I think I'm going to have that automate to my account, right? So that was my initial thought on it, how a hybrid would work. It's just have my sinking funds either cash or automated. But it could also be, I think, defined in that way too, where you're saying, I want to see it, but I don't want to miss out on the interest. And so, like I said, once you get to a certain amount, go ahead and deposit it, right? And in that way, you aren't missing out if you feel like you are. It doesn't bother me, I think, because it's a sinking fund, and most of my sinking funds have been short term enough where it didn't bother me as much. But I have had larger sinking funds where I did want some help, right? I want some help with this money growing faster so I can get to this goal. If I want to do a down payment on a house, then I don't want, tens of thousands of dollars just sitting, right? Like you're missing out on so much earned interest from that. So those would be, examples of just deciding which is the best format. So sinking funds matter. They matter for a few reasons. One really big one for me is that they keep you out of debt, and they allow you, if you want to flex cash flowing, okay? Flex with the ability to cash flow something and not put it on a credit card and put you in debt. Especially if you're here, you're probably trying to get out of debt. So sinking funds keep you out of debt because these are expected expenses, right? We know they're coming up. We know we're going to need money for them. Sinking funds keep you out of debt. They also remove and reduce stress. I am all about peace. And I don't like my peace disrupted. I don't care if it's with an expense, some surprise, something unexpected. This reduces the stress, and you can walk into a situation with confidence and ease when it's time to fund that expense. You've been preparing for it. It's such a game changer. It's such a game changer. It's like, all right, it's time. It's time for us to go back to school shopping. So, all right, let's go do this. What's a good day? What's a good day? Right? Versus, dang. Right? Dang. How am I going to get these kids some shoes? So it's, again, sinking funds are for expected expenses, and having them will help you reduce stress. It also keeps your emergency fund for its purpose. Because remember, I said a sinking fund is for expected expenses, not unexpected expenses. Your emergency fund is for unexpected expenses. And so if you have your sinking funds in place, now you're not pulling from your emergency fund, because you don't want to eliminate stress in one area and cause it in another. So those are reasons that I could think of why it matters. And I'm sure there's more, but those are why I think they matter. Some examples of sinking funds. Let's look at examples. So I have a little slide here. All right, so sinking fund examples. I tried to kind of, and these are just examples. Everything's not here, okay? Everything's not listed here. But some examples, I tried to kind of help you think about things we've been learning, right? So there's like your needs and there's your wants. Some sinking funds you need, and then some sinking funds you probably want. I also put for your needs, these are high priority, versus your wants, which would be more low priority. So let's start with the needs. Needs would be medical expenses, insurance premiums, car repair, tires or car replacement, home repairs or maintenance. Look, I can't see this, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm like, I cannot see this screen. Okay, here we go. Home payments, or I'm sorry, look, I still can't see it. Home down payment would be a need, right? Because, and we're going to get into this in a different episode in the future, but you want to be a homeowner, okay? You want to be a homeowner and you will need a down payment. You may not need as much as you think, but you will need a down payment. You may not need a down payment. There's programs where you may not even need a down payment, but we're not going to get into that right now. But a need would be a home down payment. If it's a need right now for you, that may not be the case, but it's a need, right? It could be, and any of these could technically, depending on where you are in life and in your budget, any of these could technically be in another field, right? So back to school shopping. If you have little kids, even teenagers, that is a need. But very much if you have little kids, because they're growing. Your teenagers maybe can still fit some clothes, but they probably need new shoes. You only put so many miles on your shoes, stuff like that. But again, those would be a high priority. Your children are an obligation. Irregular payments. Irregular payments is crucial. They will bust your budget because you did not think about them, despite them reoccurring at the same time. It's just that they're not a monthly expense. So an example, annual payments. You may have an annual payment. Your insurance premium may be that annual payment, or it could be a semi-annual payment. You could have quarterly payments with like trash pickup, maybe pest control, whatever it is. Those irregular payments, if you're not planning for those, they will mess you up every time because you forget about them, right? So do side little mini assignment, write down those irregular payments that you forget about and they surprise you every time. Write those down. For me, they don't surprise me anymore, but those used to be my my trash, my pest control, and that's really it. That's really it now. I have done so much consolidating of subscriptions and accounts and things like that because I needed to make everything easier for me. I don't have a lot of time to be managing a bunch of multiple bank accounts and different banks and all that anymore. So I did a lot of consolidation. So those are my two. So which ones are for you? Go ahead and jot those down. So examples of wants, experiences like concerts or professional games, basketball, football, Olympics. I put that because the Olympics, because I'm going to the Olympics. Okay. I'm going to go in 2028 to the Olympics. I've been saying it. I probably should have started my sinking fund sooner, but I had some other things that was taking priority. Low priority. So some other things took priority over my Olympics in LA 2028 sinking fund, but it's coming. It is coming. It's on its way. Beauty products, supplements, fragrances, perfume, cologne, braids. Do you get your hair braided? That could be a sinking fund because it's an expected expense, right? Color touch up, surgeries, and I'm talking about like cosmetic surgeries or something like that. Not like a medical emergency surgery procedure. I'm talking about like something that you just want. And so like those bridge items, again, up for debate. Not here to debate you on it. It's up for debate, right? Those things are like I listed and I mentioned: birthdays, graduations, weddings, milestones, homecoming, prom, holidays. And then I put like tech stuff like laptop, iPad, cell phones, because I think they can go either way. I think it could be argued that they are needs or a want. It depends. If you already have a cell phone, then it's a want. If you already have those items, it's a want. Like, I want an iPad. It would be a want. I have a laptop, but my laptop has been acting up. I need to start saving to replace my laptop before it goes out, So that's why I'm saying there's some crossover. But yeah, those others on the list, crossovers too, because it could be birthdays, could be a want at first, but now, you didn't wait until the last minute and it may have come to be a need, which is still up for debate, right? I've heard many things. I've heard that, you're not required to buy adults gifts. I've heard that viewpoint. I've heard, different things. And I'm not getting into all that. If you want to hear my opinion on it, we could talk about it. But I've just heard different things. But I will say that if I don't have it, I don't have it. That's just me. If I don't have it, I don't have it. I may not it could be I don't have it right now. I'm sorry, this gift is late. But I'm not about to put myself in a position just to meet some standard of expectations that someone else might have of me. You don't live in my house. You don't run nothing at my house. And I just don't have it. But I'll get you later, or I'll get you next year, or whatever. So, there's those things. So those are some examples of sinking funds. So I'm going to wrap this up, but I hope I help just explain what they are and why they're important. Everyone needs them because we all have these expenses, these expected expenses. We all have them. I've gone over why. I value my peace. I hope you value yours, right? And so what I want to do though, before we go, is I want us to set up one together. So I was trying to think of the most obvious one that probably everyone listening is going to run into. And it is July, and we're about 6 months away from Christmas. So Let me see if I can get this to flip to the next slide. So how to start your Christmas sinking fund. So I think what I'll do, because this is my real life Christmas sinking fund plan. I don't do a lot. I'm not a big like extravagant Christmas person. I'm not gonna go into debt for Christmas. This is just me. You can do whatever you want. I am absolutely not saying that you only need $750 for Christmas. But that's all I'm doing. I have a smaller uh, group of people that I'm obligated. I'm not even obligated to do Christmas. Let me start there. I'm not obligated to do Christmas. It's something that I want to do for them. Sometimes instead of doing Christmas gifts, I would rather do an experience. We did an experience a couple years ago, though. We had to go out of the country. And so, I already have an idea of what I want to gift. And so this is what I need. So, how to start your Christmas fund. So, let's do this together. We're going to do this together real time. I am going to share online every time I do it. We can help each other stay accountable. If you see me doing it, maybe it'll remind you to do it. And so that's what we're going to do. So, the first step to set up your Christmas sinking fund is to plan how much. How much do you need for Christmas? I've already told you I'm only doing $750. Okay, so how much? Decide how much. Step one. Step two, calculate how much and how often then you are going to, how much you're going to have to save and how often. So what does that mean? How often depends on how many more pay periods you have. So if you're paid bi-weekly or if you're paid monthly, semi-monthly, whatever, that's your how often. So now you're going to, on the right here, the calculation, I am paid bi-weekly and there are 12 pay periods left leading up to Christmas. So I will take my amount, I will divide it by 12 and I get $62.50. So every time I get paid, I need to transfer and deposit $62.50. I don't want my envelope to get heavy. So I would just do $63, right? But that is, I guess, 2 and 3 kind of went together. Calculate how much and define amount of paydays, right? So we'll go to 3. If you're paid monthly, you got about 6 months to Christmas. It's July. So whatever your amount is, you need to divide it by 6. Okay. So the last step would be the setup. Decide how you're going to save. Are you going to do cash stuffing or are you going to do automation and have it go to a high yield savings account? So that's your 4th step to your sinking fund. So I'm going to do cash stuffing. I am going to cash stuff my Christmas. And so let me do it right now. Okay, so I went and grabbed a little envelope real quick. So this one, you can either put it in this way or just slide it in here, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and get this going. And since I'm cash stuffing, all I gotta do is write on here Christmas. And I'm just gonna abbreviate. But my sinking fund is set up. You see how easy that was? My sinking fund is set up. Christmas. So anyhow, let me remove this. There we go. So it's that simple. We just set up a sinking fund together. We have done that. If you're going to do it with an account, if you are a spender and you know you got to set it and forget it, it's Monday. I don't know what time of day it is for you and where you are in your day, but if it's early morning and you're listening to this on your commute, once you get to the office, go ahead and get that set up. You can have your funds direct deposit directly to that account, set it and forget it. This is assuming you have room for it in your budget, okay? Don't come back for me and blaming me that I said for you to set up a Christmas sinking fund and you don't have funds to do it, okay? So, but that brings me to a point and then I'm going to close out. But the sinking fund could be set up for, I chose an amount and now I'm going to put that much in there, right? That's if I have it. Okay. There could be something that comes up and I need to budget for and I need to redo my line items and then I only have $10. Then I'll just put $10 in. Right? I don't want this to be stressful. This is supposed to be mitigating stress. So I don't want it to become something stressful. Don't overthink it, right? The whole point of this is just to help you be prepared for something that you likely want to do. Okay. And so let's say you do your budget and you did the calculation for whatever amount you did. And you don't have that much left to contribute, then pick a different amount, right? Pick a different amount if you can do something. Or, you may have to adjust. Let's get real. You might have to adjust what you thought you was going to do for Christmas this year. You might have to adjust what you thought you were going to do for Christmas this year. And I add in this year because these things that I'm asking you to think about, they're not permanent changes. These are things that you may have to do temporarily just to get you out of the slump you're in and to be able to get over that hump to where now you're on a bit more autopilot and you have a bit more control of when things come your way. Okay. So, yeah, I think I'm glad this came up because I don't want you to feel like, okay, well, Maya, I don't have that much left. I don't have enough left to fulfill this calculation you just gave me. That's fine. Do what you can, if anything. And like I said, now that you have really dived into this journey, Christmas might look a little different. Christmas may look a little different. You may not do gifts. You may not do gifts this year if you can't. And it's maybe just this Christmas. So things to think about. Adulting is tough. It's tough. We got to make decisions sometimes we don't want to make. So, but that's all I have today. I hope this was helpful. If you learned anything, please share this with somebody. If you have not yet, go ahead and like and subscribe. And until next time. And remember, it's not about perfection, but it is about consistency. And you will see the progress along the way. All right. Until next time, have a great day.